Okay, probably a little background information is needed. On the bench is the blue Qt50. You might have already seen the, I guess, technically second start video. So this is a friend's Qt50. It was in my possession a long time ago. I actually got it from Craig Svader. I had it, then Carl had it, then Carl sold it. Now it belongs to Cholo, who had bought it from a third party. The third party had bought it from Carl. Anyways, the issue, I can't find the stud, but let's go over to the original engine. So here's the original, oh, that hurt, original engine. And that bottom left cylinder stud hole, years ago, this was on another Qt50, and I had snapped off the cylinder stud in the case. We'll look at the replacement engine down here. And then in trying to drill it out, I snapped off the drill bit inside the snapped off cylinder stud inside the engine case. So I spent 3 days with various Dremel bits, drilling out the drill bit and then the cylinder stud. And then to repair it all, I used a helicoil, which held for several years until it did not. And so when Cholo bought the bike, I don't know if the seller disclosed that to him, the third party. But anyways, I had that problem. So, through the grace of Jimmy Cincinnati, I obtained this QT engine for free, at least monetarily. And through the help of Al Lax, it was transported from Cincinnati to Columbus, Ohio. I got it Friday, and then I got the bike Saturday, and then Saturday evening was the video of it starting that precedes this one. So there's the backstory. And, I guess more backstory. So, this thing has been cleaned up slightly, but was I don't know if it was buried underground or what, but it was caked in dirt and mud. And Jimmy Cincinnati told me that it needed a new piston and rings, which it probably does, but it started up and seemed to run pretty good. The carb needs cleaned. This SHA clone carb probably needs cleaned, judging by how it ran. And so we'll do a compression test. Here's my, so I'm not using the oil pump, and I came up with a lazy man's way to do it. So this is the oil input line, and there's a small oil output line that goes to the carb. I took the smaller line, put it inside, I cut both lines a little shorter. I took the smaller line, put it inside the input line, and then zip tied them at the connection, and then just drilled a hole in the oil pump cover. So it's normally connected there. I ran it inside there. I thought that was kind of neat and should be fine. So one of the problems in the startup video was the engine was kind of running away. And that's because these lines were still open. This one, the input line was sucking in air, and so it was basically an air leak. Moving right along to the other side, I replaced the left crank seal last night. Here is the old one. I ended up drilling 2 holes and using the screw remove method. This has good spark. It's probably the original stator. Could have problems in the future because the charge coil is known to go bad and produce weak spark over time. And then, like I said, probably need a carb clean. I need a smaller fuel line. I've got this wrenched on and with this hose clamp, and it may be leaking because I overdid it. And then the speedometer just spins around in circles and has seen better days. I may just remove the cable to the speedometer. And then this does have the Qt50 gears. I did that when it was originally in my possession. Carl replaced the ignition switch. I think there's just a big hole there with an aftermarket ignition cylinder and key. The problem is, I think we had to install a switch here because it was still drawing from the battery when the key was in the off position. So I believe this is on, this is off. Probably need to mark that with a Sharpie. I think the battery's dead. We'll do a test on that. We'll do a compression test. We need something here to keep the kickstand from snapping the exhaust. Oh, and on the other side, quick rundown here. Of course, you know, never works out perfect. This is not lining up. Plus this bolt hole is filled with, caked with dirt. So I've got to clean that out to support the exhaust. It does have oil in it. And I think it's about halfway up, which is where it should be. It's like 10 or 11 ounces. I put a new coil on it because the coil wire on the original engine was, well, actually I just took this off the original engine, but the coil wire on the replacement engine, the insulation had holes. I found out the hard way when testing for spark, so that kind of woke me up. And then on the original engine, I remember we had done the orange clutch springs, so those are still in there. We had replaced the charge coil, I believe. And what else is in there? Oh, it probably has boys and reeds in there. So 3 valuable things in that old engine to hold on to or put in this new engine. I don't know if I'm going to do all that. So I'll probably get started with a compression test. And I probably need to scrape some more dirt off this so it doesn't find its way inside the combustion chamber. And there's your wrap up. And by the way, this has new front and rear tires. The headlight, I think all of the electronics work. The battery may not be powerful enough to power the turn signals, but I think they do work, so I'll be back. Okay, another issue that I'm running into is there's so much rust on the end of the cylinder stud that when I try to take off the nut, the whole stud just comes out because the nut can't get past the rust. So, working on that. Okay, the joys of working on neglected engines. I got all the nuts off. This one pulled the stud out, as I already indicated. And now I tried to get a new stud in, and I don't know if we got like some rust fell in there and is blocking the passage or what, but now the cylinder head is cemented on to the cylinder. And I'm sure the cylinder is cemented to the case because of all this mud and whatever else. So, yeah. Okay, after an incredible amount of profanity-laden or monologue, I guess. Teeth gnashing, teeth grinding, hair pulling, brow wiping. We got the cylinder stud back in. Here's a little trick. We cannot readily remove the cylinder head. To screw in a cylinder stud with the cylinder head still on, you do the double nut technique, and then to get the top nut off, once you've got the cylinder stud screwed in, take your impact wrench on just the top nut and give it a little tickle. And that'll get that top nut loose, and you can get that off, then you get the bottom nut off. So, and anyhow, oh darn it, we did a compression test. It was just above 90. And it was leaking out there. We may have more air leaks. Although I don't know how, because the mud has cemented all this in. So, I guess I would recommend running it for a while. And maybe through heating and cooling, this will loosen up over time. And maybe I'll hit it with some WD-40 or other stuff in the meantime. But let's just see how it runs with the new seal and the oil lines connected so that there's not an air leak there as well. Okay, hearing a little piston chatter, burning off some crud on the engine. See if she'll comes back down a little better. Checked for air leaks with carb cleaner, didn't find any. Let it run for a few more minutes, and you can see all the smoke coming off the cylinder and cylinder head area. I don't remember what jet's in there. I know Carl was testing it, trying to get the right jet. Okay, a quick follow-up summary. I'm going to give you a picture of the old Honda Aero 50, which I sold and wish I had never sold it. But anyways, with the Qt50, the last video you saw was a second replacement engine, because the first replacement engine seized on the first ride out despite sufficient jetting. So I don't know if there's another air leak, if the engine had been seized in the past, which causes it, or tends to cause it to seize more once it's seized to begin with. That's a lot of seizing I just talked about. So we got a second replacement engine on it, and Cholo has been riding it and achieved a top speed of 39 miles per hour. People were asking me about that. And we put the original clutch with the clutch springs in it and jetted it down to a 71 on the SHA 1515 clone carb. So there's your update. I wish I'd got a riding video for you. But I'm going to leave you with another special video.
Okay, that's enough, baby. That's Daniel, let's get something else now. Let's get something else. Okay, that's baby. Okay, that's enough now. Okay, let's go get something else. Let's go get something else. Come on. Okay, let's go. Careful, careful. Watch it.